Addiction to Purpose with Riches in Recovery welcomes you to our audience. We hope that you enjoyed today's show and will join in the discussion by dropping a review or comment. It would be tremendous if you would like, rate, and share our content, or even subscribe to our channel. Please be aware that not all conversations on this show are suitable for children. Additionally, we may talk about things such as sexual abuse, domestic violence, and drug or alcohol abuse. If you feel that these things may trigger you, please do not tune in. Finally, if you are a heavy daily user of alcohol or drugs and are considering stopping, please consult a medical professional for assistance. Welcome to the conversation. Hi, welcome back for another episode of Addiction to Purpose. We're glad you joined us, and we're going to continue on with the second episode of our STEPS series. The last episode, we talked about steps 1 and 2, where we talked about admitting powerlessness and unmanageability in our life, as well as recognizing that a power greater than us would be the thing that can take us out of that. Today, we're going to be confining the discussion to just one step. The next step in the series is going to be step 3, and it can be a pretty heavy one, pretty important one along the way. And so we're going to dig into that and just spend this whole episode on that one step. And but first, of course, we'll talk about who we are. My name's Rich G, and this
Rich
is my
V.
buddy Rich V.
Abbie G.
And Abbie. So, I forgot to prepare us for this before we jumped into this, but what do we have that we're grateful for today?
Oh man, so much.
On the spot.
I know.
You should be able to shoot from the hip on this. Come on, man.
Yeah. You know what? I was grateful for the rain today. I really loved the rain. And I don't know, I just always love, it's real cozy when you're inside and outside. I even like walking in the rain.
Yeah. I noticed you woke up a little slower this morning.
I did, but I do love the rain.
Staying a little cozy in bed.
Well, me, what I'm grateful for, I don't want to lose my man card for this, but my cat,
You don't lose your man card for that.
Otis, I had to get up really early today, and I was really flipping tired, and I got home, and I just wanted to rest a little while, and there my cat comes over near me, and we had the little space heater on, and we just kind of kicked it and watched a movie together, and I rested and stuff, and it was nice. It was nice and relaxing and warm, and yeah, it was pretty cool. So yeah, that's for Otis, my cat.
I love that, man. When I met this guy a little over 3 years ago, he was not a cat guy, right? And one day he shows up, he's like, I got a cat, and now he's smitten with his cat. And for me, let's see, what's been really cool lately is that I'm learning to access more resources at school, which is cool. So I've been applying for like more scholarships and asking for more help, right? So like finding, there's different things that I can take advantage of at school. Like for instance, they will offer me 6 therapy sessions per semester, right? So, taking advantage of that and some of the other things that are like free services. Well, not free, right? They come with my tuition, but like therapy's freaking expensive, right?
Yeah,
so if I can get 6 no-cost therapy sessions, I mean, there's a lot of value in that, right?
Yeah, it's hard to get appointments too.
Yeah, just to find a therapist right now, right? That will take you, whether or not you even, like them, So I got to meet with my therapist for the first time this last week, and like I said, I've been applying for scholarships and different things, and yeah, so that's kind of cool,
That is really cool.
Being able to ask for help and get help is always a nice thing.
Yeah.
I want to jump in on that. I mean, you're introducing and doing all that part, but a lot of us, we've been through the grinder, with our disease, and a lot of times, when we've been in jail or we've run into problems that get in our head, because we've really been in our head when we're dealing with our addictions, and it'll mess you up in the head. And I know I've gone and seen outside help a lot. After with the 12-step program, I've seen therapists, and it's helped me out a ton. To just get some personal attention, and see someone who gets to know me and knows how I tick and help me out. And it is definitely not frowned upon at all by anyone in any 12-step program for you to go out and get some help. It's just fantastic to do it. It makes you feel good. Yeah, there used to be a lot of weird feelings about that, but No. See, going to a therapist is rock and roll. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Yeah.
No.
Well, I think therapy was stigmatized just in the United States for a long time, right? Like, I feel like for a long time in the United States, you'd only go to therapy if you were crazy.
Yeah.
You know, especially as a man.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, I mean,
Yeah.
like, I mean, not the poor man, right? Like, it's not a thing, right? The patriarchy is strong, but, you know, like, men, you know, for a very long time, we're not supposed to feel things, right?
Yeah.
You know, we're
Yeah.
not supposed. Men don't get sad. You know, forget about it. But anyway, but yeah, to have
Well,
that.
we just had therapy, or we were witches, you know.
Yeah, right.
Witches or therapy, I don't know.
Yeah, there you go. Right.
No,
Fainting witches. I don't know.
When you have an opinion, we'll go ahead and bring you at the stake, right?
Yeah.
Right.
We're either a witch or we're fainting because we're, you know,
Yes, because you're dramatic.
The hysterics. Yeah.
hysterical.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was fun.
Yeah, it's all bad.
But it's really cool to you know, and there was definitely a time in my life, right, where like my pride and my ego would have gotten in the way of me saying like, I need help.
Yeah.
You know, like there's no chance. You know.
There was a time for me too, but man, I went through a time where um, I was going through divorce and living with that person at the same time till the house sold. And then my father, who was my best friend at the time, also he was going through brain cancer. And that was my brain was blowing up and everything. And I went to see someone just to help me get through that. And that was the first time I'd seen a therapist, and that was it, man. I knew that it was a good thing to do.
Yeah.
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 Because it's hard to get through that.
Yeah.
Sure, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Well, right on. Thanks for sharing your guys' gratitudes with me. It always lifts my spirits to think about things to be grateful for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the third step, you know, the third step. So that's where we made the decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understand God.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's the step, right? Made the decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understand it. So, you know, we live in a culture where people are taught that, you know, they're masters of their own destiny. And that if you work hard enough, that if you're moral enough, you're strong enough, you know, sometimes like even if you're mean enough, that you're going to get what you want, that what you desire. And sometimes, you know, I think early on in your recovery, you even think that that means that you can somehow will yourself to recover.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You're tough enough.
You're tough enough, or like it's
Yeah.
just that you're living an immoral life, right? And if you just become moral, you know, if you just get more, you know, if you just fix whatever you're doing that's bad, right? Then you're gonna recover. And yeah, it goes deeper than that. It went deeper than that for me. That's how I should say it. So yeah, what are our thoughts on that kind of?
Well, I'll tell you. My first time through rehab, after my next 28 days, and I get saying, and everyone's on couches. You know, a lot of rehabs are like that, and I'm saying goodbye to everyone. And what did I do? But I ran and high five everyone in the couches, saying, I'm doing great. I'm cured. I got this beat, guys, you know, gals, and I'm high fiving everyone on the way out. And I'll see you later. I'm going to come back and, aftercare, and stuff like that. And, and there's a class I come in, during it that, come see everyone and stuff like that. I'm all better. And then I got out in real world, and I had a great sponsor and stuff, but, I tried to do it all my way and do it all in my will, because I'm tough. And I'm the hardest working man that you've ever seen, because I'm a darn hard worker, and I thought I could outwork alcohol and out hustle alcohol and outthink it, and out schmooze it, because great schmoozer, and liar, and I thought I could do all that, and I could work on my steps and me, because I always took care of all my problems myself, my entire life, and, I always thought I could do everything by myself. But that third step, I didn't get it. I didn't understand that, it's, I've got a serious disease, that doing it by yourself, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
To try to wrestle this disease down by myself. No flipping way. I've never seen anyone do it. Never seen anyone do it without help. And 10 months later, I was back at rehab, with my tail between my legs, and I really thought I was working the steps. And I really thought I was doing great, but couldn't do it by myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I was, I was in the ditch when I went back. It felt horrible, but then I learned, then I learned, it just, yeah, I learned I couldn't do it by myself. Then I got that feeling. I'm not going to go ahead and ramble on everything because we got a lot to discuss. But yeah, you can't do it by yourself. You gotta have help. You gotta have help.
Yep.
Yeah.
I definitely struggled with it. The idea of turning anything over to anything or anybody. Because I was definitely raised in that mindset that you do it for yourself or it's not going to get done, right?
Yeah.
If you rely on somebody else or something else, then it's just not going to get done, right? So you either do something because you get it done or it just doesn't happen.
Yep.
And so, everything sounded good on paper, but then a lot like once I got out of rehab and I got kind of back out in the real world, and the real thing was like, when I got back out in the real world and life started coming at me again, that ability, like when life was simple and I was in the bubble of rehab, right? I was like, cool, turn things over, right? Like they tell me when to get out of bed, they tell me when I'm going to eat lunch, they tell me, when to show up to meetings, they tell me all of this kind of stuff. Abbie's, kind of handling our life on the outside. I'm turning my will over to God, right?
Yep.
And then I get out into the real world and I've got to pay bills and I've got to go back to work and I've got to manage people and I've got to do this and I've got to do that. And then I'm like, this stuff ain't happening the way that I want it to, right? And so I'm like, start organizing things that how I think they should be, organizing my life how I think it should be, trying to make things happen faster than maybe they should be happening, controlling everybody and everything around me, like trying to lord over everything.
Man, you wanted to get through those steps too.
Oh yeah, pound through the steps, make sure my sponsor hears what he needs to hear to give me, the check mark. I'm just going to get the A's and B's on my steps to pass and graduate the program. And, did the same thing with my first therapist, right? Like, I wanted therapy. High fives. Boom, boom. Graduated from therapy and, relapsed like a fucking madman. So,
Yep.
So it didn't get me very, very far. And, that's just how it went for me,
A thought that I had too is, I'm just this kind of person too, is just thinking, I have a higher power and it was no problem. We'll talk about this in a second, but I had no problem knowing a higher power. I had a God in my life, but the way I go about things is, God, don't worry about me. You got other things to do. I got it. You can take care of a lot of other things, but I got it. Don't worry about me. And that's really how I felt. I don't want to bother you, God. I got this. It's almost like I was embarrassed to have to need someone else, even God, to help me. It was almost embarrassing because I'd done everything. The second I walked out of my folks' house, when I was 18, I walked out, went to school. I took care of myself ever since then. And, I was just, I don't know, I guess it was prideful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it was prideful. Mm-hmm. Even though it doesn't seem like boasting prideful, it's just like, I got it. Let me take care of this.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you were the problem. I wasn't the problem.
Sure.
Once you were out of the house, then I could easily stop myself. I was in control of myself.
Yeah.
Once you were out in rehab, then I could stop on my own. Yeah. I had the power to stop on my own. Mm-hmm. And I really did believe that. I was like, I felt that, I prayed that our life was different. I was like, I can't live like this anymore. So something had to change. And that change was you. Yeah. It was you. Yeah. And once you were gone in rehabs and everything was calmed down, I was like, oh yeah, I got this. No, I'm good. You know what I mean? Like I can stop whenever I want to and I don't need to. And I did. I stopped.
Yeah, you've told me this before. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, it's okay.
But didn't you go through some horrible detox by yourself?
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. I had a .33 on my DUI. I am an alcoholic. I am nuts. I'm insane. I'm actually insane. Like, that's what I'm saying is like, I pretended like he was the problem.
When did you get the DUI? Was it before he was?
In 2020. So yeah, right in COVID in June 2020.
Oh,
He hadn't gone to rehab yet.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
And
saying.
she was why I started drinking.
Yeah, no. Yeah, no.
if you had a wife like
No, but that's the thing is, if I think back of our drinking, we've been drinking really heavily since before we even moved here.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when we had before even COVID, I was marking bottles in my mind. I was like counting shots of our friends. I'd be like, oh, they're drinking more than I. We're gonna need another bottle. You know what I mean? I'm already counting how much liquor's left. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like in my
Yeah.
mind, I'm already like doing that before 2020 even was close by.
I mean, if she was across the house and she heard my glass tink on the counter, she'd be like,
Yeah.
"Did you take
for
a
real.
shot without me?"
Yeah, I would. I would literally have eagle ears, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, owl ears, and be like, "Did you take a shot? I'm gonna get.
Yeah.
I need a shot too. Then,
Yeah.
like, go shot for shot with him.
Yeah.
Like that was a good idea. You know what I mean?
Do you guys ever have bottles hidden around the house so the other person didn't know you had?
He did, but it was like after I kind of stopped, like drinking because he just didn't want me to know. But like we'd always drink together, so we didn't really hide bottles because like we just drank out in the open because we were just drinking all the time.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, so like once he was gone, I was totally fine. You know, I just stopped whenever I wanted. And so I didn't feel like it was God that helped me. You know what I mean? But I went to AA and I was supporting him and everything was fine. You know what I mean? And then, like I said, I think last week it was like, then all of a sudden, when I started thinking at work that I needed to go get some whiskey on my lunch break, then I was like, oh, and put it in my, and then because somebody had said like, I don't know if I heard at a meeting or something like that. I was like, oh yeah, so and so, like, you know, I used to go out to my trunk and like drink like booze on my lunch break and hide it in my trunk. And I was like, oh, that's a good idea. I was like, and then I was like, oh, I can do that. There's a liquor store right by my work. And I was like, oh wow, I'm actually considering that. That is not a good idea. That's not good.
Start
And
planning
Richard's-
it. You're really close to
I was
doing
gonna
it.
say, and Richard's not here, and he's, you know what I'm saying? Like he's not at my work.
Yeah.
So it's me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, yeah. So then at some point I did realize I was like, oh, I am, and then I do need help because I did start to realize I have the allergy and I have the obsession of the mind, which I always had, but I just ignored it and pretended it wasn't there. And once, like I said, once I start thinking back, I was marking bottles with the little Sharpie in my mind of how full they were. And then going back and being like, okay, we're almost out. I'm going to have to take more shots before everybody else does. Or we're going to have to go get more alcohol because there's not enough. Because I'm not that drunk yet.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I would do that. And I wouldn't tell anybody, but that was in my brain. And that is insanity.
Yep.
That is, like, the total, like you know, obsession of the mind.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's like I said, I just would like, I think I was gaslighting myself for
Yeah.
real. I know I've said that before, but like, I really think I was just completely oblivious to what I was doing to myself in some ways. And then when, like later, I was just like, once I finally turned that corner, I think I had gone to AA enough where it kind of started sinking in.
Did you get a sponsor?
Huh?
Did you get a sponsor?
Oh
quickly?
yeah, I had a sponsor pretty quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm doing all the things, you know, I'm going through the motions, being a good girl, you know.
It was like a little bit after I got out of
Yeah.
rehab the first time.
Yeah, the
Like
first
a little
time.
bit after.
Maybe 2 months after, something like that.
If that, yeah.
Yeah,
6 weeks.
yeah, but yeah. So I was doing the things, you know, and I really was on some level trying. There was a level that I was trying. But it wasn't with all of me. I was not trying with all of me for sure. And so then when I think I got enough AA in my head to realize I was like, oh, okay, maybe this is a thing, you know, and it's not just him and it is me. Because I was like, you know, nah, I was never going to be like, you know, my alcoholic family members and stuff. That was never going to be me. You know,
Yeah.
that's not me. No, it's not me. And so, you know, that's what happens sometimes.
I thought being an alcoholic was just a way of life. I
Right?
thought my family are, you know, functioning alcoholics. I just was a functioning alcoholic.
Yeah.
You know, I just, That's how it was until it just
Yeah.
got to that point.
Yeah.
There's just that point, where it just doesn't work anymore.
I was doing
Yeah.
great as an alcoholic until
inside.
I wasn't.
Yeah,
right?
that's
Like,
true.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
going really good until it wasn't.
Mhm.
Right?
Until I had to have,
Yeah.
a 6-pack of beer on ice in my car and a 6-pack and 6 beers in my, duffel bag,
Yeah.
that I brought into work, and put in the office
Yeah.
with me,
Yeah.
and I
And you were sad about it. Right? You don't even want to drink it anymore, right? Like it's a that's when it's a problem,
No,
I was gonna,
I liked drinking it, but
until you didn't.
until I was throwing up cold beer in the morning.
Well, there you go. That's when you don't like it anymore, right?
Oh man, when you start getting up in the morning and you can't brush your teeth because
Yeah.
you'll throw up if you brush your teeth, that is not a good place to be.
Just drink through it, man.
Yeah, that's not a good place.
So I was gonna say, like, I was thinking, back to when I first tried to do the third step. I think things would have worked out differently if God would have just worked on my particular clock.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
mean, I just needed to I just needed God to bend to my will a little bit, right? Like,
Just a little.
hey yo, I need this done by 8:30. You're on the clock, right? And then like 8:30, okay, fine, I'll give you till 8:45. And then if it wasn't done, like who's gonna do it? It's gotta be me,
yeah.
right? Then I get real stressed out. Anyway,
Well, then, I went through the time of kidding myself and thinking that I was having God help me, and then it being my own will, and then I found myself back in rehab again, feeling like just hammered dog shit. I don't cuss very often, so it just had to come out. Because that's how you feel. That's how. Man, you don't feel good.
Yeah.
And then that's when it hit me. I've told the story enough times. Just sitting there, on the deck, just looking out over the grassy fields with all the cows out there, and it's just an absolute gorgeous day, late morning, and sun shining on me, and all of a sudden, someone popped it in my head. There just was this feeling, and it was a big one, and because I was trying to wrap my head around things, and I just couldn't. I was detoxed about 3 days, and what am I doing? What am I missing? I really want to be sober. And I'm just failing. And then I asked God, what am I doing? And all of a sudden I asked God, and then I got an answer. And it's God's answers usually are pretty subtle. And it just seemed like it was a smack upside the head, though, in God's subtle way. It just, it's just sort of, I was feeling so much better. And I had this warm, just beautiful late morning sun on me. And all of a sudden, I just realized I had just asked God for help. And I felt better.
Yeah.
And I felt better when I asked God for help. And I just sort of thought, I wasn't asking God for help enough. And, and I really had a really, first, I had put together what I thought God was, what I thought. And then I really felt what my God was. And it just all came together. We all went through, I went through, Catholic catechism when I was real young. And before I got married, I went through confirmation and so forth. And so I had that God in my mind, but I just sort of refined things. It says God, of your choice, understanding.
Yeah.
And, I just had an understanding, and what a surprise with me. But just God is love. God is this. To me, God is this ultra love. Because you think of the most powerful thing in the world. And what beats love? Fear. Fear doesn't beat love. Love beats crap out of fear. Any type of hell or demon or whatever you think of. But when you felt the most love you've ever felt in your life, that beats the crap out of anything. Beats the crap out of any high I've ever had, you know, or, you know, just any ego, you know, I've ever come across or myself. I mean, love beats the snot out of all that. You know, the feeling of love, the power of love. And that started forming in me, you know, exactly. God was putting the pieces together for me. And it just all of a sudden hit me like a freight train. And, you know, I just thought, you know what? I'm in, all in, chips are in. You know, that was time. You know, just give it up to God. And that's when things started going well. That's when life just started going so much better. You know, and it might not be all the things in my life were going that much better. You go through hardships like anyone's life is. But it's the way of living is so much better. The way you live is just so much better. It just is. It just is. I've been through so many rough times being sober, and I've got God on my side. And I've got love. You get through it.
Yeah, that kind of brings me to like something I was telling you guys. It's funny, like, you know, I've read.
That was my soapbox roll.
Yeah, no, you did great. That was awesome. You know, I've read this step like, I mean, I don't know how many hundreds of times, right?
Yeah.
Maybe thousands at this point, right?
Yeah.
Over the last 4 years. And I've read it so many times, but today it just like hit me a little bit differently, right? And it doesn't say that we will turn our lives over to the control of a power greater than ourselves. It says that we're going to turn ourselves over to the care of a power greater than ourselves. And it just like hit a little different today when like I read it like with a little more intention today. I was like, oh, the care of a power greater than myself, right? Or of the God that I understand. And I was like, you know, it's funny because yes, I'm saying like, you know, here's my will in my life, but I'm turning it over to your care, not to your control, right? So like it just feels better, right? Like it just makes you feel a little warmer with it as opposed to like, okay, just like point me where you want me to go. I'm your minion.
Well, it's
right?
going to be cared for, not just
Right. It's more like somebody's going to hold it and value it and cherish it and just put it where it's supposed to go and care for it as it guides you, you know? So it just feels better to think of it that way,
and
you know?
be careful with it, hopefully.
Yeah, right? And I think, I definitely think when
listen to it guide you, though.
Sure, but I definitely think when I first ran into this, I was like, great, something's going to control me now. Screw this, you know? Just everybody just wants to control me and tell me what to do, you know? But yeah, and like I said, you know, I definitely already lived my life, right? I definitely already lived my life in this way. Like I concede I concede everything to God every morning because it does lead me to a greater peace. Like I get to live in peace today. But today when I read it, I was like, yeah, the care of God, the care of my higher power, right? Because when I turn it over, it's going to be cared for. It's not going to be taken advantage of. Because if you turned it over to another human being, it would be taken advantage of. Even if I turned it over to my loving and beautiful wife, human nature is gonna it's not going to care for it, right? But your higher power is going
that's
to.
a pretty dark thing of human nature, though.
No, but even accidentally.
It's true of me, right? Like eventually you're going to take advantage of it, even intentionally, unintentionally, right? You'll use it for your own benefit.
Use it, lose it. Whatever, you know.
Anyway, so it just struck me different, and so like what you were sharing kind of flowed into that, you know, is that it's truly about the care, like it's going to be handled with care, you know. It's got the fragile sticker on it, right?
and you know, whenever I let God care for it instead of me,
that's it, right? Things go
okay. I could see that instead of whenever I let God take care of it, maybe not, but whenever I let God care for it, and I listen to God's caring love. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
So when you stick your own self out there, you end up feeling like hammered dog shit, like you said before. So you're better off just leave it in God's care, and you know, nothing comes along to hammer you.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I just thought it was really cool that no matter how many hundreds and hundreds of times that I've read that it still hit me different when I was like putting together some notes for today.
Well, I guess that's a really loving statement, putting it that way.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's much more gentle and kind and caring, to think about it that way. Something else that I wrote down that I kind of enjoy is, I have heard often, I have no idea where the quote originates, right? But heard often in 12-step meetings is surrender is not defeat, it's just joining the winning side.
I love that
And
one, man.
yeah, right? So
love
surrender
that
is not defeat, it's just joining the winning side. So
Yeah.
do you have any thoughts on that?
Hmm.
Put you on the spot.
Well, I guess that's one I actually haven't really heard much.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I haven't heard that one much. I do like it,
Yeah.
but I haven't heard it much. But I always just feel like, I always think of like surrendering as, to me, it's always, everybody always thinks of it as like giving away something, but it's really counterintuitive because you really give it away and then you get like so much more and you actually get a full life, like you said, joining the winning team, but like it's really just so much more than you think it's going to be, because when you don't surrender, you're just literally fighting against everything all day, every day, mind, people, everything, just all day you're fighting against, because you have to work against the flow of God or whatever you're trying to do, your own will. If you surrender, then you get to work with the flow of God. And then you end up, you just, like I think we've said it before, it's like floating on a river, and you just get to float instead of having to paddle upriver because of your own will, because your own will is not the way the river is going.
You're trying to blindly navigate yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And because me as one person, I don't know where the river's going. I didn't build a river. I didn't create the river.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm one speck on a humongous river. I can't make the river turn different ways. And so that's that. I love that quote, but it like, as far as surrender, it's like it's such a big deal, in this program especially, where people are so scared of it.
Yeah.
They're terrified of it because they really think they're going to lose themselves. But you don't have to lose your personality. You just have to lose your fighting.
Right.
You have to lose your fighting of what you think is the right way to do everything.
Well, and I think that's
You
kind
don't
of
lose
the thought,
your will.
right? Is if you're, if you're like the soldier that's at war, right? And you've got the two sides that are fighting, and then the losing side that is clearly going to lose, right? You're the losing battle, right? You're in a losing battle.
Especially if you're fighting for someone who you don't like. Let's say you're fighting for Hitler.
Well, regardless of that, right? But you're in the losing battle, and it's evident that you're in the losing battle, right? And you surrender, right? And it's the end of the war. Then what happens when you surrender? Typically, you get to just go home and live your life, right?
Because it's true.
And yeah, I mean, you may not, your government and some things in your life might change, but you do get to just go home and you're no longer on the battlefield starving, dying,
Yeah, that's true.
etc. Right? So like, it might not be that you join the winning side, right? But you also, the war's over. Right, the war's
Not
over.
getting shot at anymore.
Yeah.
Right,
That's true.
that's pretty cool.
Stuff blowing up on you and things.
Right. Yeah. So at least the war's over. But
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, I've heard that several times in meetings.
Well, surrendering to me, I mean, the jock in me, I played a lot of sports.
The mercy rule.
And surrendering is just not something you do.
Right.
I mean, I spent my whole life not surrendering, and the thought of surrendering, at first, was, you don't surrender, but then when you surrender the right way, it's just so soothing. Oh, get all this off my back and get all these lies.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one thing I keep coming back to that when I talk about it. When I got to surrender all those lies.
Yeah.
Oh, give those up and make amends to all those people that I lied to. That steps down the road, I know, but when I got to just surrender all that stuff and just start.
Yeah.
But right now, right now in this step, I got to formulate what God is to me.
Yeah. So I feel like one of the really big benefits of turning things over in my life to the care of God is that it's made room for so many other things, right? Because I would have all of these things that, quite frankly, I couldn't control, but I was trying to, but I'd have them all on my mind, right? And they would consume my thoughts and my time. And that would leave me no time to care for myself and to love myself and to care for and to love others. So by turning over some or all of those things that would just burden me, and by being able to learn to turn those over to the care of God or a higher power, I freed myself up. Right. So now I'm able to spend time on things like self-care, which I literally don't think I ever did until I got sober.
He did it.
Right? I don't think so. I mean, self-care, personal hygiene was probably about as close as I got to self-care. Right? And there was just never relax. What is that? Right? Relax. How do I relax? I go drink. Right? So that was it. But now life is completely different, right? I can sit and I can listen to people when they need to talk. And I can take time for myself just to sit and be quiet when I need to and let my mind calm down. Sometimes that's spent turning my will and my life over to the care of God, right? Sometimes that's just me just stopping when I am freaking out about something, going wait, this problem doesn't even have to be mine, right? I can actually just say actually it's not my problem, right? Give it up. So that was one thing that I was thinking about today too, is that it's freed me up where I can love myself and love others. Where before that was a huge block for me because my thoughts were consumed with so much stuff that quite frankly I couldn't control.
Yeah.
You were so far away from serenity. Serenity was a concept that you had no idea of, because what comes with our fun disease is that we never finish anything because we've got lies that are clouding our head, and then we have the obsession of getting more booze and how to go about it without other people finding out or knowing that we're loaded at the time. And so that's on our mind. Okay, make sure they don't know I'm loaded. Okay, but I can get booze over here and I can still do it without people knowing that I'm drunk. And so
don't act drunk, don't act drunk, don't act
don't
drunk,
act drunk, don't act drunk, yeah.
don't act drunk.
But isn't it cool being
And then you're like, oh, can I have the shit, I act drunk. Oh,
okay, yeah, but isn't it cool that I'm drunk and no one knows I'm drunk? That's kind of fun, isn't it? But then
How am I doing?
Yeah, okay, but then I lied about this one. I got to keep that lie going. Okay, but okay, I got to finish this that I started earlier. Yeah, but I want to get this done. Let me get this done first. I'll finish that later. But I want to have a drink. And so your mind, so you don't get anything done. Everything's half-assed done or not done, and it just keeps going in a pattern. And then once you're sober, you can get stuff done because you're just saying, God, give me a hand.
But even before, I'm even thinking before I reached that point, when I would get home at night and I would be sitting there and thinking about my workday, and I'd be like, that guy Rich just won't do the things that I want, that I need him to do, and how am I going to get him to do what I need him to do? How am I going to make him do what I need him to do?
Yeah,
I really got to figure this out. What's gonna make him perform the way that I need him to perform? And then I've also got to think about Abbie and what's going to make her do what I need her to do.
Yeah.
And my boss is a jackass, and he's not doing his job, so I've got to figure out how to do his job
constantly.
too. And then, oh crap, my mom's calling. You know what? I'm not going to answer for her because I've got to figure out how to make Rich do what he needs to be doing, Abbie doing what she needs to be doing, and my boss doing what he needs to be doing. And I need to answer this email that just came at me because they deserve my time right this moment in my life right now. And there was just no time for anything else, right? Because
always complaining about
it was just I had to be controlling. I'm talking about well before I met you, my man. I know you experienced some of it, but that was my life from the time that I got into high school, I feel right? My whole life, was that level of stress and control, right? I had to be plugging in I was working the switchboard, right? And I had to
control other people.
Control other people, the things that were happening around me. Who was driving in my lane down the road, right? I needed to be able to control and predict all of it, right? I needed to be able to work out the quick math that would predict the future. I needed to predict the future and fix the past
Yeah.
right
fixing the
now,
past,
right?
yeah.
Like I needed to be able to do all of it. And man, like,
That's tough.
oh, I've got anxiety right now.
I know. I have anxiety for you, man.
I'm like, ooh, but that's how
I have
I
anxiety for
functioned,
you.
man. Like that's how like
I was there with you, and I
high-strung.
feel that.
That's how high strung and high wired I was for so long. And I mean, you suffered some of it because you would see like you would try to help me with something. I'd be like, just give it to me. You know, like, no, you're not doing it right. Why are you doing dishes in that order? Don't do dishes in that order. What are you doing?
I remember
Yeah,
you,
like-
you telling me about that though.
Right. Well,
When
yes.
you first started getting sober, you complained about how she did dishes.
It's because I'm still a work in progress today.
That's when you
Rich.
first started, not now.
Right?
But
Well,
when you first
today I'll go, I notice you're vacuuming like that. Okay, I'm gonna just shut up. Thank you for vacuuming. So it's still a work in progress, right? But yeah, but before it was like constant. And so like when I say that it was a gift to be able to turn that over, like once I let go of even a small portion of that,
Yeah.
the level of peace that I started to feel was amazing. And like, I was telling Abbie, like I've struggled with some perfectionism and some different things. I think may have been sharing that with you like
Yeah.
this last week.
Yeah.
And like I felt some of that come back, but I know what to do with it now, right? And I know how to recognize it, and I know what it will do to me, right? So I can manage it so much better because I've learned how to like turn it over.
Yep.
And I've learned how to love other people and not let that part of me, because that's an addiction too for me.
Uh-huh.
That's something that's just another form of addictive behavior for me. So, learning to let that, and that's really is turning that care over to a God, a power greater than myself, like, whatever somebody out there might believe in, the rhythm of the universe, the flow. Like, you were saying earlier, to actually live in the flow, that's how I describe my life right now, right? Is that like I'm just the river flowing down the hill. Right?
That's showing that you're loving yourself.
Yeah,
Because you're letting yourself be free. You're
That's
letting
it.
yourself love yourself. So you'll get yourself cornered into this unstopping garbage.
I mean, quite frankly, who wouldn't drink? I mean, and if I get myself feeling like that, right? If I allow that back in my life, that's
Yeah,
that's
you can't live
relapse,
like
right?
that,
Like
man.
that's no.
Yeah.
That's an immediate relapse for me, right? So I have to be very aware of and I have to talk about it, right? I was telling you, it felt good I talked to you about it, I
Right.
talked to Abbie about it, I talked to the men in my church group about it.
Take the power out of that.
Yeah, I have to talk about that because I have to keep that right in front of me when I'm feeling it, because that is a living, breathing relapse in my life right there. But it's that ability to turn it over, to share it, turn it over, put it out there, let it be known, and it dies.
Man, that's got to feel good.
It's good. It's good.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Learning what to do with it, because I never knew what to do with it until sobriety. And that's where the 12 steps are such a gift. And that's why I look at them as such a gift. Like that's why I've said before that I always thought that when people would like in a meeting say like, oh, I'm a grateful addict or I'm a grateful alcoholic, and I'm like, you're a dumbass, right? But now I kind of understand it, because I would have never put the effort into working these steps that have changed my life so much had I not imploded my life with addiction and alcohol before, right?
Yeah.
This has saved my life.
Oh,
Right.
Absolutely saved my life.
Yeah.
So, I mean, not being dramatic, but with this disease, it has completely saved my life.
Yeah.
It's made me a person that most people who have my disease do not act like I do. My doctor was telling me this. Most people that have my disease, they just sit in a dark corner and watch TV and do not talk to anyone, the rest of their life. They just sit and wallow away, and that's just how they spend the rest of their life, because they just can't handle being in pain 24 hours a day, and it just consumes them, and they just sit and whenever they talk to the doctor, it's just to get their pain medication, or they talk to a therapist, and therapists can't do anything to help them.
So sad.
It just ruins their life completely, and they don't communicate or anything like that. And I'm the only person he's come across that actually leads any type of life,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because of 12 steps. But, you know, it's just because, you know, I've learned to love myself and I've learned to have beautiful, loving people in my life,
Yeah.
you know, and I got to formulate this God at the third step. And it's sorry to come around, but it is really seriously come around to that. It started with that feeling, that love, that all the concepts that have been going through my head and my heart for a long time. It all came together, and that love, that power that I learned at the third step, and got to have all through my steps and stuff like that the rest of my life. But I turned my will over to the care of my
Right.
yeah,
Right.
and life just got better.
Yeah. Well, this podcast is just what I needed.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Feel better tonight?
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, I just needed to be reminded that I need to turn it all over.
Yeah.
Because I've been having some rough times and I keep praying about it, but I keep not turning it over.
Mm.
I keep praying about it, but not saying it's yours. I just keep saying, you know, please do this or please do that. But I don't say it's yours.
Mm.
And that is not what I haven't been doing that.
Yeah.
And that's what I need to do.
There's
That was
a
a
Nice.
great reminder.
Nice.
subtle difference there.
There is a
right?
very subtle difference.
Right.
Yeah. And then I just felt my heart get lighter when I thought about doing that because I was
Yeah.
like, then I don't have to sit here and stress about it because I've been stressing about a whole bunch of things. And I've talked to you. And again,
Yeah.
like I talked to you, I talked to my mom, I talked to my girls at church and my other girls at my program, but it's like, and that was great. I'm glad I did that too. But just like you, I'm trying to keep ahead of my behavior because I've had my addictive behaviors come out
Mm.
with my anger and frustration and impatience. And those are my past behaviors. And I don't want to be like that. And so I've been very frustrated lately and really like short-tempered. And I don't want to be that way. And that's the one thing I wasn't doing is surrendering it.
Mm.
I wasn't doing that. I was
Yeah.
talking about it and praying about it, but not surrendering it.
Yeah, you know, there is, and I say a subtle difference because there's a subtle difference between, hey God, you know what's going on,
Yeah.
this and this and this, versus, hey God, I've got a problem that I'm going to make your problem,
Yeah.
and then I'm going to walk away from
No,
it,
I
right?
really,
Yeah.
I really just
it's so
realized
great.
it right now when we were talking. I was like, oh my goodness, that's what it was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And yeah, of course, it's like, that's what I needed to do.
it'll still exist, but if
Yeah.
you turn it over and then turn it over, and sometimes
least
you have to
my
turn it over
mind
again, right?
Will be like, it's not mine anymore.
Right.
I don't have to think about it. I don't have to try to figure it out.
right,
Because that's what I've been doing. That's why I've been so stressed out. Because I'm trying to figure it out.
and it's been turned over to the care of something
Greater than myself.
greater than you.
Yeah.
if
God's
you
heard
let
it
go.
all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
And that's like my journey as far as that goes. Like it's been, I think my whole journey with the whole process has been this gradual thing. I didn't have, as I've mentioned before, I didn't have this lightning moment because I've had a God in my life my whole life. I never said I didn't believe in God. I never said I didn't. He's always been with me, but I left for a while and didn't communicate with my God, my higher power, and then I came back, and so now once I start doing the actions little by little, then I start seeing the results. I start seeing the promises. But it's not this big bang of this situation like other people haven't had it before.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I just see these little kind of like daisies popping up out of the ground. You know what I mean? Just little tiny things. But I see it. But again, I have to be paying attention. I have to be, aware of what's going on. I have to keep my eyes open. Because if I close my eyes and I say, oh, nothing's happening, I can't feel it, I can't see it, because I'm being resentful, then I'm not going to notice it, and then my program will not be good.
It's so subtle.
Yeah. Because I do have to, because I'm not having the flashy things like everybody else, not everybody else, some people, I have to pay more attention to see my promises, to see my blessings sometimes, and that's okay.
Yeah.
That is okay.
Yeah.
But sometimes they're bigger than just a little tiny thing. So,
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that the show fed you tonight.
yeah,
That's
it
cool.
did. It did.
We like that.
cool.
We like that. We
It's
all
awesome.
get that once in a
Well,
while,
whenever
right?
there's two people, there's always a meeting. So
Right.
we had a
There you
meeting
go.
tonight.
This is a
We
good
always
meeting.
do, yeah.
Yep.
No, it was an awesome meeting. It's just fun. It's just fun. whenever you get to sit around and talk about, especially when you get to talk about higher power,
Yeah.
you know, you can't help but enjoy it, you know, because it gets to be nice and raw, you know, and inside of it, and then you get to, you know, feel what you're feeling about it. It rubs off on you, you know, and the more we can feel that and get in practice of rubbing that off on others, you know, anyone you walk by and say hi to, you feel. I say hi to so many people during the day, you know, and share that, and then it makes that feeling more powerful in you. You can't give it away and have less. The more you give it away, the more power you have.
Yeah, sure.
You understand?
Yeah.
The more you try to help out other people, and everything, the more you help, the more love and God you have in you.
Yeah.
It's not something that you give away and have less of. You give away and have more of.
Sort of a karma thing, right? Like,
Yeah.
give good, you get good, right?
And whenever I'm down and I'm feeling just, you know, I just give some love, and boom, you feel better.
That's why service is so good, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why being of service is just awesome.
Well, that was a fun show, guys. So,
Yeah.
you know, last couple questions as usual. So, progress, not perfection. What's something that you've been working on lately?
Yeah, I've got some issues with my legs.
Okay.
From the job that I've ran restaurants for 38 years, and I was on my legs, you know, 10, 12 hours a day. And so, you know, plus I'm kind of a big guy, and so my the pumps in my legs don't work very well with my with blood, and so I'm seeing doctors and getting some wounds that I have on my legs healed up, and maybe getting some operations on my legs to get them better. So that's what I've been working on right now.
Okay. Yeah.
I think it's just what I talked about. I'm
Sure.
trying to be like just aware of my feelings, and now I mean I had kind of an epiphany during this time, but like just really paying attention to that, because in my younger years I would have kind of let my old behaviors take over, and my mind would have been depressed, and I would have just kind of let it overtake me, you know, with depression and my feelings just be in control. And so that's what I was working on this last, like, probably 3 weeks, is like not letting it take over. You know what I mean? Like I didn't feel good. I felt like I was fighting something, whatever you want to call it, my addiction, the devil, whatever you want to call it, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But I was fighting against it, and I was aware that I was fighting against it, as opposed to just letting it take over and not caring who I hurt or how it hurt me. And so that's specifically what I'm working on right now. With this, I'm hoping, if now that I can give it over, maybe that will clear up what's going on.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Good. Oh, love that.
You know, I think for me, it's like kind of like I was saying earlier, right? It's like being able, just getting progressively better at recognizing when I'm starting to feel a little funky or a little something that I shouldn't be feeling, but getting much, much better at sharing that with the people around me that will support me, right? Being open about it, sharing it out there. And I feel like it's just so effective that when you put something out there in the world that you're feeling, and you tell it to people that will support you on it, that it does, like you said, Rich, it takes the power out of it, right? So I think that's a really powerful gift, you know, to be able to work with.
Yeah.
I did have one more thing.
Yeah.
Also trying to not, like, legitimately not care what other people think of me, but not in like a negative way, in a way of like, if I want to do something, I do it just because I want to do it.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Because I've had a lot of my life, and I know a lot of people feel this way too, but I've had a lot of my life where I have just been too scared to do something because I was just so like, somebody's going to think of this or that, or they're going to think of me this way or that way. And I just would always have this little, you know, little back of my head person going, you shouldn't do that. You're going to look stupid. They're going to hate you. Everybody's going to think you're dumb, you know, and it's this bad talk my whole life.
Yeah.
And I've really, really been able to squash a lot of that in the last few years. However, it's still there.
Sure.
So that's what I did. That's why I did that on last Friday night. I rode in my mechanical bull, and I looked like a real silly goose,
Yeah.
but it was really fun. And I was on there for 1.1 seconds, and I fell off immediately, but it was really fun.
Nice.
And so yeah, but I really wanted to do it. It was one of my bucket lists, and I always wanted to do it when I was drunk, and I ended up doing it when I was sober.
There you go.
So that was kind of fun.
That's cool.
Yep.
I want to get on something that you said about when you're giving out these things for people to help you.
Yeah.
Now, see, you have helped those people as well, you know, because you give them a chance to help you.
Mhm.
Sure.
So,
Absolutely.
So everyone loves to help someone else.
It's reciprocal. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah.
Yeah. So you
It's a symbiotic relationship, right?
There you go. There you go.
So, and then the other one is, what's the greatest gift you've been given recently by recovery? You know, I had one just yesterday. I kind of shared with you guys before the show that I've become a little active in the on-campus club Students for Recovery at SRJC, and yesterday was club day. It was kind of cool because we had a table where we got to be, you know, sharing some information with people. And of course, it's a college, right? And so, like, I'm an old guy at the college, but there's a lot of young kids. And, you know, they're coming by the table, and we've got, of course, you know, it's Students for Recovery, but this particular club recognizes pretty much whatever you're doing, right? So, like, harm reduction, if you're trying to do less, if you're trying to learn about, you know, using clean needles, if you're trying to learn, you know, it's really about anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Learning how to use safely, you know, if you're on medically assisted treatment, if you're using, methadone or any basically whatever recovery looks like to you, you're welcome to come in and share with us and be part of the club. Well, part of what we do is we take and we have a large supply of like Narcan, which is to reverse the effects of an opioid overdose. And we also have these little packs that are for opioid testing strips, right? So, like, say you're buying press pills of Xanax, right? And you crush up the pill in the pack and you put a little water in it and you put the test strip in it, and it will tell you it won't tell you that it is Xanax, but it will tell you if it is fentanyl. Right?
That's good.
Right? So, and that's super common, right? Because everything's laced with fentanyl because it's super cheap to produce.
Yeah.
And so if you think you're getting Xanax, but you're actually getting fentanyl, this will tell you.
That's good.
And you have to kind of crush up the whole pill because they can just put a few flecks of fentanyl in there and be giving you a lot of fentanyl, right?
Right.
So anyway, so we're sharing with these college students, and like it can start off like a little bit of an odd conversation, but then you tell them, look, I'm not trying to keep you from partying. I'm trying to keep you safe. So if you put your Xanax in there, because they're like the whole pill, right? I'm like, so put your Xanax in there and crush it up, dump your water in there, test it, and if it tests negative, then just dump the water in your mouth, right? Like, and you get your Xanax. You know, like we're out here trying to educate you and save lives, right? And then we show them how to use Narcan, right? And we explain what opioid overdose looks like and all that. And we have like several kids come by, like, oh, I party all the time, or like, hey, my brother is a heroin user, or, you know, we had this one girl come by. She's like, I go to raves all the time, and she like grabbed like 4 Narcan kits and like a whole handful of the test strips, and I'm like, yeah, go.
She's going to raves.
I'm like, go girl, right? But like, it felt good to like do that. You know, it feels like you're really doing a service, and like, you know, who knows?
You
like,
are.
You know, but
it's funny. It's like the new condom. You know what I mean?
We have condoms at the table
No, I know,
too,
but like,
right? We do.
it used to be like
legit.
giving out condoms was like a little, you know,
Right.
edgy. Now that's like the new thing of
Right,
like keeping
but-
people safe, you know?
Yeah, but it
which is
was,
good.
not edgy anymore.
Yeah,
yeah,
not at all.
we
No,
have like a whole bag of condoms there too. Like,
Yeah, but
you
it's
know.
not at all, yeah.
But yeah, but you know, so that was just really cool to be able to like educate people
Yeah.
on it and like tell them how to use Narcan and, you know, tell them about the Good Samaritan law, because of course they're like, well, what if the cops show up? And I'm like, look, they can't arrest you. You're protected by law, right? Like if you've saved somebody from an overdose, even if you're carrying drugs and they're carrying drugs, like you guys, they'll leave you alone. They just want to save lives. So anyway, that was really rewarding to get to do that. So,
Yeah, definitely.
yeah. So that was a gift.
Yeah.
And I got to be there because I'm in recovery. So.
That's awesome. Oh man. Look at all these windows and doors that have opened up for you.
Right, just fun stuff,
Just
man.
great stuff.
I get to do all kinds of cool stuff because, you know, I've changed my direction in life. So it's pretty good.
Man, and where you were.
Yeah,
What a huge 180.
good
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
I get to, I am still going through a fifth step with my sponsee, and it's just really, it's amazing. So,
That's so,
yeah.
it's hard to say.
Yeah.
It's just, there's not many.
I mean, it's rough, of course, but it's just like to have the, the release of just, getting her to be able to push through all of that, you know what I mean? And go past it.
To be their person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
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 It's pretty special.
Share that love. Yeah.
Yep.
That's amazing. Yeah. That's just so much love doing that. And that so much of that stuff coming off of them.
Mm.
Yeah.
It's visuals. Just, you can just watch it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
yeah.
If you have any questions about today's show or anything else recovery related, please feel free to reach out in the comments section, Facebook, Instagram, or email the Riches. You can find all of that information in the episode description. We'll release episodes on the 1st and 15th of each month, and we look forward to having you join us for future content. We'll continue working down the series of steps. So our next steps episode will be steps 4 and 5 together.
Great present.
Yeah, Abbie was just talking about 4 and 5, so we'll be exploring that content together. And so thank you guys for coming and hanging out with me tonight.
4 and 5, still more fun.
Still more fun.
That's great. Love it.
Thanks to our audience for being part of our sobriety today.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for giving us some of your time. We really hope you got something out of today's episode. We would be honored if you would like and share the episode or leave a review or comment with your takeaways. Don't forget to subscribe to tune into future episodes. Have a great day.